Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Dill. We are waking up Saturday morning, and it sounds like there's some real buzz building regarding the next offensive coordinator for Shane Beamer in South Carolina. And Dill, while everybody in the college football landscape has been talking about Lane Kiffin at LSU, this hire fascinates me. This is a hire that is going to make or break Shane Beamer's tenure at South Carolina. You get this right in 2026, this team can win a lot of football games. You don't get it right, we're probably looking for a new head coach. I've been saying that for the last month. Kendal Briles, the name that is emerging. We got a tip from a South Carolina fan damn near about a month ago regarding Kendal Briles. And Dill, I've been living on the message boards the last month, man, and I haven't seen a lot of buzz regarding Kendal Briles. Well, Friday night, it really picks up, and it sounds like this one might get done relatively soon. Does Kendal Briles make sense at South Carolina? Here's the thing, before I even try to answer that question, I'm going to pose that question to you here. Shane Beamer's going in a little bit of a different route, right? I mean, what have we seen from Shane Beamer historically at South Carolina? I want an offensive coordinator, and I really want to lean into NFL backgrounds. And it clearly hasn't worked. And Dill, out as critical as I've been from Shane Beamer, like golf clap, man. Like, oh, Valley, hey, this process has not worked. I've been leaning into NFL guys, has not resulted in success for our South Carolina offenses. Why don't I go to a guy that's just a true blue college football offensive coordinator? Because that's what Kendal Briles is, man. Been a ton of different spots, has called plays for a ton of different quarterbacks, and largely has a damn good track record. So I give Shane Beamer a lot of credit for doing some things different with this offensive coordinator hire. Doesn't make sense. That's what we're going to get into. Before we do, and as always, to the South Carolina fans, look, if you are spending your Saturday morning listening to the boys talk Kendal Briles, and I got some takes, please let it fly in the comment section. The amount of support from this fan base has been amazing. I know damn well y'all got some takes on this too. Let it rip. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Dill, I am going to give you the T-box here. Kendal Briles potentially come to South Carolina. How are we feeling about it?
Yeah, and I think, like, I'm looking at the comments on Twitter. I see the comments on the message board. I think this idea that, like, the Kendal Briles, and, like, honestly, the Art Briles tree, like the Josh Heupels of the world, the Kendal Briles, like, to call them air raid kind of coordinators, I just don't.
It's not true. It's the veer and shoot offense, man. And so, are there some air raid principles? Absolutely. But to just call it an air raid offense is factually just incorrect.
And it's personnel driven. You look at the offense that was built for KJ Jefferson. Yeah, that was a tough, rugged, physical offense that ran the ball really well, was able to hit some deep shots down the field, but very predicated on the run game. At TCU, they didn't really have running backs. Like, they had a wide receiver basically as their RB1 in 2024. Yeah, they threw the ball a lot, and they were really effective doing it. So to me, this is like the type of coordinator I think you can overthink a little bit. Like, oh, is he a good fit? It's like, I don't know. His track record tells me he's a really good fit. He's just been a really successful offensive coordinator wherever he is.
And here's the thing that I love most about Kendal Briles is there's not necessarily a bad fit for him. And what I mean by that is he's had success with different kind of head coaches, right? I mean, you coach for Sam Pittman, and then you go coach for Sonny Dykes. Those are two different head coaches that want to win ball games in different ways, but also more importantly than that, two different quarterbacks. And KJ Jefferson compared to Josh Hoover, they got different skills. They got different skill sets. Kendal Briles found a way to move the football and have good offenses with both of them running his offense, right? And so that's what I love most about Kendal Briles is it's not just one particular kind of quarterback or one quarterback in general he's had success with. He's had success with a wide variety of quarterbacks, wide variety of personnel. That's what I love the most about Kendal Briles. And now I'll say this. If you get Lynn, we'll talk about this a little bit more because I want to have the Lenore Sellers, potentially Josh Hoover conversation. If this does happen, that'll be the next conversation we have. Man, go back to his time at Arkansas. That offense was fun with KJ Jefferson. And I'll just say this, just Lenore Sellers, way better kind of quarterback than KJ, right? And you go look at his time at Arkansas. There's a little misconception, by the way. I want to get this off my chest. There was some buzz about him getting fired at Arkansas. That is not what happened. I remember what happened, right? Kendall Briles gets an offer by TCU. They're trying to replace Garrett Riley after they're running the college football playoffs. And Kendall Briles went back to Arkansas and said, "Hey, I got an offer from TCU. It's going to be a raise. Can you match that so I can stay at Arkansas?" Arkansas did not want to do that. And so Sam Pittman comes out and is like, "Yeah, we decided to part ways with Kendall Briles," which is just factually not really what happened. Though that's like back in middle school when my girlfriend broke up with me and I told all my boys that I broke up with her first. Like it wasn't the truth, but I was trying to save a little bit of face. That is exactly what Sam Pittman did regarding Kendall Briles. He had a lot of success at Arkansas. Until KJ Jefferson was a damn good quarterback. There were times where we were talking about KJ Jefferson as a damn near Heisman caliber quarterback with Kendall Briles. Then Kendall Briles leaves Arkansas, goes to TCU, has success with Josh Hoover. Until KJ Jefferson just kind of fell off, man. I look at Kendall Briles' time at Arkansas, which is big because hey, I'm a proven offensive coordinator in this conference, which not a lot of people can say. It's another reason to kind of get on the Kendall Briles hype train here.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I do think there's gonna be a lot of South Carolina fans and frankly national fans that are gonna think too much about quote the fit. I again just think about what
I
he's
think the
done
fit's
in
great.
his track record. It's been incredible.
And if you get some explosive plays, he's been at places where he's ran the and here let's talk about the biggest concern, right? Did not run the football well at TCU. In fact, ran the football pretty damn poorly. And the South Carolina fans know what I'm going to say. And it's just something that I kind of live by when it comes to this conference. You can't afford to be a one-dimensional offense. You have to have some sort of run game to lean on. I'm not saying you have to be a run-heavy offense by any means. Go look at Alabama. Alabama's the perfect example. They got a great quarterback in Ty Simpson. They got a great play caller with Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb. Elite wide receivers on the outside. They have a massive problem. They can't really run the football. And that has become a problem for this Alabama offense, even with how good they are at quarterback and how good they are at wide receiver. When you are one dimensional and you have to drop back and throw the football 40 to 50 times a game because you can't run the football, Dill, the caliber of pass rushers you see in this conference every single Saturday, it's hard to be one dimensional.
But
My
that's where I
biggest
get like the running game at TCU again. Who was he working under? It was Sonny Dykes. Sonny
Sure.
Dykes is
Yeah,
not the
sure.
guy who wants to
Sure.
run the football. That's not his makeup. It's not in his philosophy. And I think you could see it wasn't exactly who they recruited. They had very talented wideouts. They had a really talented quarterback, and that's what they leaned into
Yeah.
at Arkansas. Different story with KJ Jefferson. You go back to the FAU days
Yeah.
in 2017. Devin Singletary put up damn near 2,000 yards for that team. They ran the ball
What
really
a pull.
effectively. So again, this
Wikipedia.
is like
Boy.
a well, Buffalo Bills
This guy.
fan over here. Of course, I remember
Yeah,
Devin,
fair.
but that's like that's the thing. If you look at the history, it's not like this
Yeah.
team that's
Yes.
never run the football really well.
Agreed.
Like if they
Yeah.
have good personnel and they can run the ball, and
Yeah.
that's where like yeah, probably the bigger conversation about this offense and this offseason is can they address this offensive line and
Yeah.
get it to a competent SEC level?
Yeah.
If they do and they have good running backs, they're going to run the football. I know that.
You made one really good point there, and that is, and it really sells me on Kendall Briles even more. You can talk about scheme all you want when you're talking offensive coordinators. Like, give me this is a reason why I love Buster Faulkner going to Florida, right? He knows how to build his offense around his players. You go back to what really probably hurt Mike Schulis. He was forcing Lenore Sellers to maybe be a quarterback that he ain't, right? You want to be you want to show me a good offensive coordinator, show me an elite offensive coordinator. You'll probably end up showing me a guy that knows how to mold his offenses around what his players do best, specifically what his quarterbacks do best. Like you go look at Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher had an awesome scheme with Jameis Winston at Florida State. The problem was he never deviated from that. So when he went to Texas A&M and was working with guys like Haynes King, he had no clue how to run an offense. Like Kendall Briles knows how to fit his offense around the personnel he has, which is really damn important. I'm happy you brought up the okay, actually, let's talk about if this does happen. Just play with me here. Saturday morning, cup of coffee conversation. We're just being imaginative. If Kendall Briles comes to South Carolina, Josh Hoover's got one more year of eligibility. Who you taking, Lenore Sellers or Josh Hoover?
It's still Lenora
Yeah, it
Sellers. Like
has to be. It has
I
to be.
know
It
it
has
was
to
a
be.
disappointing year, but
Yeah.
Lenora Sellers, like the talent, if you can pull that out of him, and
Mhm.
again, I don't even like again, he maybe didn't take the step, but my God, that offensive
Yeah,
line
it didn't.
gave
Yeah.
him a chance. Like this
Yeah.
was just it was a broken system,
Yep.
not a broken system. It was a broken offensive line, and when you're that bad up front, it's almost impossible to play high
I
level
think it's
ball.
fair to say it was a broken system too.
But
Like there
you
was no
also, like,
identity.
you saw, like, why Lenora Sellers, if you can put something around him, like the deep balls he was able to hit, like those things that kept
Yeah.
South Carolina kind of fighting, if you
Yeah.
will, when not a lot else was going around. If you can just, like, get this offensive line back going, get him in a really good scheme with a really good college coordinator in Kendall Briles, I think he'd be I just
Yeah,
think
you have to
you give
bet on
yourself
that.
chance to win a national
Yeah, you
championship. He's that good.
okay, well, let's just start with getting back on track here before we start talking natties. But here's the thing, though. I ain't pushing back on like Lenore Sellers gives you the opportunity to be special, right? Because that's how talented of a quarterback he is. You have to bet on that. Like the Lenore Sellers does not grow on trees, right? And so you got a really young, talented cat, Landon Duckworth, coming in, who I think has the opportunity to offer that special innate talent. When you have a guy like Lenore Sellers in your building, you have to bet on it. You don't let him walk. Now, if he does, and I'll say this, like, and I think a lot of South Carolina fans would agree, it'd be hard to blame him, right? Like South Carolina kind of screwed him here. Mike Shula was a bad offensive coordinator hire. That offensive line was a straight up disaster. If he decides to just go to the NFL or try to go to a program that's a little bit more ready made, I wouldn't blame him. Well, you got a nice contingency plan with Josh Hoover, man. There were a lot of SEC programs that were offering a lot of money to Josh Hoover, most notably Tennessee, to leave TCU and come to this conference. If Josh Hoover's your quarterback running 2026, you still can have a really damn good offense, and he knows what Kendall Briles wants to do. And here's the other conversation, though. Can I offer a name real quick? Because as much as we want to talk about the OC, right, and it's important, we got to get the offensive line right. It doesn't mean you could have Lincoln Riley calling your plays, man. It won't matter if your offensive line continues to be the liability it's been for South Carolina at times under Shane Beamer. Know who worked for Kendall Briles at Arkansas? Brad Davis. And look, here's my selling point on Brad Davis is I get it was not good at LSU. It was and it wasn't good for 1 year at LSU. It was bad for LSU in 2025. Go look at the last 10 years of this cat in the SEC, like at Arkansas, at Missouri, at LSU, multiple NFL draft picks. Brad Davis is a bona fide elite offensive line coach, in my opinion. He potentially might be a free agent if Lane Kiffin does not decide to retain him, which we haven't heard he will, right? I mean, does this not just make a ton of sense for South Carolina to make a move here?
No, this would kind of be a really fun one, and not only because he's a good coach, but even in the short term, like I look at what type of attrition might be in that LSU offensive
Yeah,
line
sure.
room,
Yeah.
in team in general as Lane Kiffin kind of comes in. I know it was a bad offensive line. It's super talented. I mean, you
Yeah.
look at the recruits that he was able to
Yeah.
bring in over the course of his tenure, like Carius Kern, Weston Davis, Tyree. Like I know these guys didn't exactly play incredible last year, but they're really talented players. And again, like South Carolina is going to need some very immediate help at this point. So to me, I think again, really good offensive line coach would work on its own, but I think right now in this situation, probably a really good fit for this.
Deal with some of the chaos that we've seen in the sport, right? Billy Napier getting fired and James Franklin getting fired. There are some free agents that are legit, man. Like I look at Brad Davis here. I look at Rob Sale at Florida, who I don't think was the problem at Florida. I look at Phil Troutman at Penn State. I certainly wasn't the problem at Penn State. It was damn near one of the best offensive lines in the country. That there are some not only good candidates out there, there are some good candidates who are free agents who are looking for work. I'm very interested. You got to get this offensive line right. I'm interested to see what Shane Beamer does. I don't think it would be the TCU offensive line coach, in my opinion. When I went back and like wanted to get a feel of this Kendall Briles and what he did at TCU, I was not blown away by what TCU was doing up front. We'll close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it if y'all do. Well, one more thing. Jimmy Smith, potentially would come with Kendall Briles, running backs coach, and we need a running backs coach. Not bad. Again, not a guy that super excites me, but just give me a running back coach that can recruit, and I'll be all right. right? All right, we'll close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.